Hello, I'm going to be talking about understanding language, a reflection of culture and society. What is language? Language is a system of communication used by humans that can be spoken, signed, and sometimes written. It allows people to convey thoughts, emotions, and information. The study of language reveals insights into culture, society, and a human expression, showing how people interact and understand each other. Importantly, language is a dynamic and always transforming, evolving with changes in society and technology. Language and music. Music allows individuals to convey emotions. Its origins are often tied to magical or ritual purposes, providing a means to connect with the divine or the mystical. Examples of this include Christian hymns, Jewish cantors, and Buddhist rituals, all of which use music to enhance spiritual experiences and community bonding. Here I inserted a prayer from Jewish life. The Hebrew Bible emphasizes music's importance in both sacred and secular life, illustrating its integral role in cultural and religious practices. Music combined with language helps to create patterns and relationships that enhance intrapersonal and interpersonal connections. This synergy depends our understanding of human emotions and social bonds, making music a powerful tool for communication and expression. In the article, The Impact of Systemic Language in Music explains how language is an entire multi-faced expression of representing, exploring, and communicating meaning of syntax structures that are seen in patterns and allows individuals to develop interpersonal and interpersonal relationships. Through the studies of linguistics, language can be expressed and interpreted in single or multiple ontologies. Language and literature. Literature encompasses various genres, including drama, poetry, and prose, each utilizing language uniquely to convey meaning and evoke emotions. This genre comes alive through performance, with works like those of Shakespeare demonstrating the power of spoken language to engage audiences and bring stories to life. Poetry is known for its refined and economical use of language. Poetry often employs figurative language and vivid imagery. Poets like Dante and Chaucer masterfully use these techniques to create rich, evocative works that resonate deeply with readers. Figurative language, such as similes, metaphors, and idioms, enriches our understanding of culture and society. These literary devices provide a vivid imagery and deeper connections, allowing readers to explore complex ideas and emotions more profoundly. In the article, The Empirical Study of Figurative Language in Literature explains how figurative language is the use of expressions with different meaning from its literal interpretation. It creates vivid imagery and provokes thought, allowing for a richer and more engaging exploration of human culture and society. Here I inserted an image of Dante illuminated the city of Florence with his book, The Divine Comedy. Language and history. The study of historical texts reveals the evolution of language over time, providing insights into how societies communicated and developed. King Tut's tomb and Rosetta Stone are pivotal artifacts in understanding ancient languages. The Rosetta Stone, discovered in 1789, was crucial in decoding ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, as it featured the same text in three scripts: Greek, Demotic, and Hieroglyphic. These discoveries offer a contextual understanding of past societies and their communication systems, shedding light on their culture, administration, and daily life. By tracing language through history, we gain a deeper appreciation of human civilization's complexity and continuity. Renaissance as a rebirth of language and ideas. From Chapter 11, the 14th century literature and 14th century. The Renaissance marked the revival of classical knowledge, art, and literature. Language was central to this cultural awakening, serving as a bridge between antiquity and modernity. Scholars study ancient texts in Latin, Greek, and Hebrew, rediscovering works of philosophers, poets, and historians. This renewed focus on language allowed the Renaissance thinkers to reinterpret and expand upon classical ideas. Here I inserted an image of Geoffrey Chaucer, his manuscript, Canterbury Tales. Basically, by viewing the humanities as an evolving discipline that connects language, creativity, and cultural reflection, we can see its relevance not only in understanding the past but also in shaping the future. The perspective encourages us to embrace the humanities as a tool for building bridges across disciplines and societies, fostering empathy and unlocking innovative approaches to global challenges. Here I inserted a video about what is language.
The distinct forms of speech heard around Bremen, Germany and Interlaken, Switzerland are considered regional dialects of the German language. And yet, when someone from Bremen is visiting the Swiss Alps, the conversations they hear between locals will likely be incomprehensible to them. Similarly, outside of China, Mandarin and Cantonese are often referred to as Chinese dialects, but they're even more dissimilar than Spanish and Italian. On the other hand, speakers of Danish, Norwegian, and Swedish, which are recognized as 3 distinct languages, can usually communicate in their native tongues with little difficulty. And Turkish language soap operas, broadcast without dubbing or subtitles, are some of the most popular shows in Azeri-speaking Azerbaijan. So, when is a form of speech considered a dialect versus a language? It seems reasonable that the degree of mutual intelligibility would determine whether 2 ways of speaking are classified as separate languages or as dialects of the same language. But as we've seen, there are many occasions where this is not the case. Perhaps surprisingly, the distinction between a language and a dialect usually has nothing to do with pronunciation, vocabulary, or any other linguistic features. However, it's not coincidental either. It's a matter of politics. The basis for what's officially deemed a language was shaped by the emergence of European nation-states beginning around the 1500s. In order to establish and maintain centralized governments, clear territorial boundaries, and state-sponsored education systems, many nation-states promoted a standardized language. Which form of speech was chosen to be the standard language was usually based on what people spoke in the capital. And while other forms of speech persisted, they were often treated as inferior. This tradition extended across the globe with European colonization and into modern times. Italy, for example, has at least 15 of what might be called regional dialects. One of them, the Florentine dialect, became known as Standard Italian when the country politically unified in 1861. It was selected because legendary authors like Dante and Machiavelli used it in their original works, and it came to represent an image of Italian national identity that some found particularly desirable. Later on, in his attempt to establish a unified fascist state, Italian dictator Benito Mussolini saw language standardization as an important objective. His government promoted Standard Italian while prohibiting other forms of speech from the public sphere, framing them as backward and unsophisticated. In everything from job applications to court testimonies, standard languages act as gatekeepers around the world. For instance, one 1999 study showed that landlords responded to apartment inquiries based on what form of speech their prospective tenants used. When callers spoke African American Vernacular English, or AAVE, landlords were more likely to reject their inquiries. When they spoke so-called Standard American English, which is often associated with whiteness, landlords responded more positively. Both of these forms of speech are considered English dialects. In the United States, some people have cast AAVE as an incorrect or simplified version of mainstream U.S. English. But AAVE follows consistent grammatical rules, every bit as sophisticated as other forms of English. Linguists tend to avoid the term dialect altogether. Instead, many opt to call different forms of speech varieties. This way, languages are seen as groups of varieties. So the English language is made up of varieties including Standard British and American English, AAVE, Nigerian English, Malaysian English, and many others. Each has its own unique history and characteristic pronunciation, vocabulary, and grammatical structures. But the dividing line between varieties is murky. Human language, in all its cross-pollinating, ever-evolving glory, naturally resists the impulse to sort it into neat buckets. Oftentimes, forms of speech exist on a kind of linguistic continuum, where they overlap with others, and the differences between them are gradual, not clear-cut. And that's the confounding beauty of the dynamic, diverse, and dazzling universe of human communication. Okay, but where did human language even come from in the first place? Learn more about its suspected origins
Okay, so these are my works cited, and that's it. Thank you for listening.